Should we start today by going for a walk? Huh? You ready to go for walks? Huh? Oh? You want to go for a walk? Okay, we shall go for a walk today. What do you think, Brooke? Huh? Yeah? Oh, he's going? He's going. Alright, keep going. Oh, goodness. Mommy's just making a muck of things. Go for the puddle. Your paws are going to get cold. Your paws are going to get really cold. Because they're going to get really wet. That's a puddle, boo-boo. Don't cap half the weight for a puddle. We have another puddle coming up. Aren't your paws cold? I'm cold. Do you want to walk in the snow? People are going to think that, like, you're on a tight leash. You can walk wherever you want. Way up there's a person walking down the road. That's why she stopped. Brooklyn. Cold now, Mama. Okay, give me a second. You have no patience. You, my darling, have no patience. Yep. Nope. Come here. In the house. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was a pretty good walk. We didn't do too much walking, just a little in the woods. Right? Just a little in the woods. Can I get your leash off? You hold. Stay. Hold. Stay. Good girl. Yeah, who had a good walk, huh? Yeah. There's your sister. Dodgy, the window licker! Oh, now we're gonna have a nice calm afternoon. Nice calm afternoon, huh? We smell like the outside. Do you have any editorials about your walk? Huh? Do you have any editorials? Puddles are cold. Taking some video of Duchess's Zoomers. I just have the one beta in the tank now. Just the one beta. Yeah. The other beta, I'm not sure really what happened. Hey guys, welcome back to this video. So, after a long day of taking the cat for a walk and then realizing that this week I did lose a fish, we lost the Black Mariah. I think he got some fin rot and no recovering from the fin rot. I did try putting in a quarantine cage, however, he jumped out of the quarantine tank. So, without having a larger quarantine tank, he got put back in general population, and maybe it was the transferring back and forth, but his fins were shredded, like it was bad. And they got with like that within like an 8-hour shift at work. So I don't really know why he got so sick so quickly, but within like 24, 48 hours, he was up and gone. There wasn't a whole lot I could do with it, so the Black Mariah has passed away, and that was my Black Orchid Beta. And what I thought was kind of unusual is that I have this itty-bitty tank here, gallon tank, with this little girl in here. She doesn't have a name. But when I swapped the two of them out, she had these same really horrifically shredded fins within 3 hours. So, and that was with me watching her. And the tetras were not going after her. I'm not really sure what happened, so I swapped them back. She is recovering from whatever got in. Then, man, not even a full session. Come here. Not within even a full session, her fins were just, they were almost and he had his fins, which were much more full than hers. And he looked like a crown tail beta. He was so bad. And he did not make it. So that's some bad news this week. The good news is that Nagini, I think that's where her home's going to be. We had tried putting her here. That was where her tank was originally going to go. Except I found out that feeding her from there is really, really hard. I did throw her a couple of crickets because I suspected that one of the reasons that she was up on the tank so long, and as you can see, she's still up on the side of the enclosure. She likes the side of the enclosure. I'd like to say that she's weird, but she's, I've been watching Tarantula Collective, and apparently it's really normal for anything from 48 hours to several weeks that they climb around their enclosure and are just up on the walls. I did designate a sacrificial paintbrush is a long-handled number 4 to kind of coax her down into her hides so that maybe she would go in there. And I just basically coaxed her into the entranceway, and then she went in there and she was chilling out there for like a day. I thought that was going to be the end of it. I felt a lot better that she was in her enclosure and in her hide and acting normal. I threw her a couple of crickets, which was not nearly as dramatic as it sounds. I was expecting it to be way more climactic, but basically I dropped the crickets in there and they disappeared underneath her hide. And I haven't seen them since then, so it's entirely possible that she killed them after the fact, after they wandered out again. I have not seen the crickets, nor have I seen her. She stopped wandering for about 3-4 days. So maybe next week we'll have a feeding video. I'm going to leave her go. I only gave her 4 crickets, and I did buy more crickets. They are down there in that cereal container, so that I don't have to keep going to the store, because a cricket with a tarantula her size doesn't go very far. So I bought 2 size crickets. I bought itty bitty crickets, and then I bought bigger crickets, and I don't think those itty bitty crickets, in hindsight, were big enough for her. So I think she ate them all, and I think she's still getting comfortable in her enclosure. I'm still getting used to her. The reason that she is over there and not over here is because when I am sitting there, I'm usually watching the screens, and that is as far away from the opposite side of the room as possible. And unfortunately, I can't keep an eye on her in order to get desensitized to her movement over there. I did move her to the workbench for a short period of time, but the reality is I'm going to need to use that space for projects, and to continually have to move her enclosure is really hella stupid. So for right now, until I get her actual big enclosure, she's right there. And I'm hoping I can get one of those big enclosures that opens up in the front rather than opening up in the top, so that when I do feed her, all I have to do is open up the front and then close it, and she can stay down there and I don't have to move her enclosure in order to feed her. That's why she is over here. She is quite happily just chilling out on the side of the tank. So she's doing just fine. I am unremarkably doing just fine. We are getting along. And again, she's over there for 2 reasons. A, it's very hard to feed her from that top enclosure. From the top of the enclosure, I have to move it every time I have to feed her. And B, I can't get desensitized to her movement because she's constantly out of sight and mind. Maybe down the road she will go back underneath there, but right now she's next to the desk. So what else has been going on other than I took the cats for a walk? Well, we've been working on the wolf. So we're working on this guy. You'll notice that the center wolf and this left wolf are much pinker, and I'm going to tone these down. But I did want to incorporate some of these really, really pretty colors into these wolves. I think this one in particular is a little too pink. In fact, there's some part of my brain that is just kind of going, it's a very bloody wolf. So it works well on this one as lighting. It doesn't work so well on this one, so this will probably be changing color a little bit. And this one I haven't really started too much. You can tell there's a little bit of reflected colored light on here. But I'm still working on this. It's coming along. There is another project that I did this week for the studio that is art related, and that is my production books. So I don't know why I sat down, because I have to get up again. Normally when I'm sitting at my table, one of the small joys that I have is to be able to just write my thoughts down in notebooks, be able to carry them wherever the hell I'm going. If I'm at a coffee shop or whatever, I could pick my notebook up and bring it with me, transfer it in. And I have had different notebooks for different purposes. So like this particular one is labeled as an art, ideas, layouts, and notes. And basically what I use this for is, instead of having 40 million freaking notebooks with 40 million folders with pictures in them and just a title of a piece, this kind of gives me the rough idea of what I wanted to do, and the notation for the pictures that I wanted in the folder that I wanted them in. And if I want to, I can put color palettes on here. But for the longest time, I've been using notebooks. And they have been notebooks for many, many, many different reasons. When I went and redid the studio and got real serious about the theming in the studio, as far as wanting it to be kind of a dark academia kind of thing, I decided to hide the notebooks. Now, these notebooks were in the cottage in the old studio, and now they're in this case. But there's sketchbooks in here, and of course, actual notebooks. Okay. And so, like, this one was originally just photography sent when I was doing photography at shows. These are show notes, like if I wanted to do Gen Con, or if I wanted to do food and wine, or food and wine for Cedarburg. If I did ideas for different, I think this was Gods and Goddesses, because it's all like Thoth and Bast and Horus, Set, Galata, Aphrodite. I had an idea where I was going to do animal art with gods and goddesses. This is pricing out for different people, photography rates, commission prices. This was notations for when I was doing my photo booth. So this one's a general notebook, and they're kind of dated, 2005. Some of them have good ideas. And the reason I keep them is because, effectively, I can always go back and revisit these ideas, see what I can change about them, and see if I can work. And I say that because, like, in the past, I've tried note cards and greeting cards with my artwork on them, and they just didn't sell. And I was really, really disappointed in them. And I think I might revisit that with just the prints, blank note cards with envelopes, see if they sell. The last art show that I went to that was really, really productive, a lot of people were selling their stuff in just note cards, and maybe it was just to frame them in like 4x4 kind of things, or 4x6 kind of things. But maybe that would be more successful than, I don't know, trying to sell actual, like, birthday cards or anything else, because I tried it and it didn't work. But maybe we can revisit it, and that's why I don't ever throw these notebooks out, because I can always go, well, I did try this, but I didn't try it in this fashion. So that's kind of what's in here. And these old sketchbooks, oh, you always keep the old sketchbooks. You never throw the old sketchbooks away. This is from a Tika show, and I got commissioned to do their festivals show. Dragons, lots of ferrets. Ferrets, dogs, wolves. I think this is a table layout. This is dragons. I really wanted to go to town with these dragon sculptures. I thought it would be really, really fun to do that. Turns out that they're rather involved and kind of a pain in the butt. Wolves, wolves. That was kind of a nice idea. Not really my style. I can't remember, well, this was a combination tiger and crowned crane challenge that we did for a sketch. Little caricatures. So I was going to do a ferret tutorial. I probably still could do this ferret tutorial. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do a ferret tutorial, because I really I did have all these notations for a ferret tutorial. I actually really like these notations because, like, you can have an idea of how, like, ferret feet are different from dog feet or cat feet. They're actually closer to, like, bear feet. Different color coding. This is the notations for the breakout. So, like I said, these notebooks and the sketchbooks, they can all be very, very useful. Like, each one of these numbers represents a horse, and the actual reference picture is notated here. And I think the ones that are just labeled like side and 3/4 turn flip, I actually changed what those horses' paint colors are. So, I mean, I keep these. They're interesting. But the reason I bring that up and I bring the other notebooks up is because, as you guys know, I often have snacks at my table, and I have coasters to keep the new tabletop nice. And I typically have a stack of notebooks, somewhere over here, right next to my coaster. And on one particular day, I had gotten distracted, looked away, put my coffee down and missed the coaster, and the coffee went all over the place. So my notebooks got ruined. So I was kind of disappointed with all of that, and opted that I would like to be able to display my notebooks. It kind of goes with dark academia, kind of witchcore kind of theme, and decided to invest, instead of these $25 to $1 sized, dollar spiral notebooks, to actually get some decent notebooks. And I know you're going to say, okay, so notebooks, big deal. You just like to write stuff by hand. So this is the new projects notebook. This is my calendar and my planner that I usually have every year. And I used to need it for two reasons. One was because my schedule was all over the place. Now I get him on a regular schedule, so I don't need this so much for planning my workflow week as much as I need it for planning vacations and for planning shows, because that's another thing that's coming up. This is a travel notebook, so these are notations for when I'm planning trips, like prices on flights, hotels, and all that. This became a general kind of keep-all, and again, it's a spiral notebook. It was like $2. This notebook got used for everything. These are literally drive times when we were on the speed of service report. So, but again, Florida trips. This is the playlist for Project 1044. So this notebook has gotten used for a whole lot of stuff. Plans on doing an episode for the 5 stages of grief. These are timestamps for all the video clips that went with the Jasper video. So these notebooks get used a lot for a lot of different things. And it's not necessarily stuff that I want to be able to quantify in, like, on a computer file. I have enough crap on my computer. This is just stuff that's kind of analog, stuff that I just want to keep track of, like how many hours of footage it took me to put the Jasper video together. One of the there's 2 other books besides my projects books that I had, and one of it is for scripts and for episode ideas. In fact, I had one that was a really good idea for doing shorts, and that was I wanted to do basically the reasons, like the more ethereal, deep reasons that I was doing some of the artwork. What does it mean? Because I keep having people ask me that question, like, what does this mean? This has to have a deeper meaning. Sometimes it doesn't. Like, that painting, was the challenge of wanting to do another really pretty, like, night sky, but I wanted to do wolves too. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, I could do something with, like, sometimes you just gotta go with your family and just get to the core of things. And it got real mystical real quick. And I was like, okay, this is just ridiculous. I just basically wanted to do an exercise in doing another night sky and doing wolves. So I don't know if I'm going to do shorts with that or not, because I overthought it and then I backed off from it. The red book has it's another multi-pack purpose. So I had bought this little exercise book in the Five Below store, and it's called Manifesting Dreams. And I had heard about this on a couple of YouTube videos. Like, if you're in a funk and you're constantly finding yourself hitting a negative series of thoughts where you're talking yourself down and you're shit-talking yourself and you just can't get out of your funk, you have to be able to realize you're having those thoughts and then get yourself out of those habits and be very self-aware of the fact, like, I talked myself out of, after I got out of the SVA, not doing any more art shows, not doing any more craft shows, because it was so much work and it was exhausting. And it was hard to balance my work life with my art life because it seemed like such a hassle to be able to request off, and that became a big production, and I had trouble justifying wanting to own up to wanting to justify it. And so I realized that I had this series of thought processes where I was kind of dumping on myself. Same thing with this studio. After I got even before I moved, it was really hard for me to justify wanting to be able to do my art and justify spending money on it, justify wanting to show it off, because I had ingrained myself with just crapping on myself so hard that it felt like a guilty pleasure. And honestly, this is one of those things where you may do the same thing, is where you just habitually shit on yourself. And you would almost think, oh, this is a healthy thing. I need to humbly check myself. But there is a limitation to giving yourself unrealistic expectations and bringing yourself down to a realistic level. And just doing it to discourage yourself from having any happiness. And I was doing it to the point where I wasn't enjoying anything. I wasn't enjoying doing my art. I wasn't allowing myself to even enjoy it. And I used to. And I used to be so, well, nobody wants to do it. It's a waste of time. And I found myself repeating things that my dad had told me time and time and time again. And just caught myself doing it one day and went, why am I doing this? So I went on the internet and if you guys don't know, I watch Cinema Therapy a lot. There is a sister station called Mended Light. They go over more relationship things. But I watch both of them in order to kind of catch myself doing things habitually that hold me back. And maybe you do that too. If you find yourself having repeated negative conversations with yourself, either due to things other people have said to you or things that you want to do in order to kind of give yourself a realistic expectation. And hey, we're artists. It's fine. We all have unrealistic expectations, like being able to get that thing done in a week. That was, there is an unrealistic expectation. But when you realize that you're self-sabotaging, being able to counter that is to actually tell yourself the exact opposite. Like, I was keeping my office in a way that was not mentally or emotionally healthy. I was shit-talking myself constantly about the condition of my office. And like something silly and stupid and simple. That office door, I would continually say, well, if I can't even get the office door fixed, I really have no business doing art, which is just there to give me pleasure anyway. I found a solution for the door, and I didn't have to buy another door. I didn't actually have to hire out a contractor because I'm in there doing things. I actually just sawed the damn door in half, because what happened is that the door is hung crooked, the door wasn't freaking meant to go in that door space anyway. It's a 1/2 inch too big, and I didn't want to justify throwing out the dang door. So I made it work with what I had. And I turned around and I got really super proud of that, and then I felt better. I feel better when I'm doing things. And then I organized that closet so that, like, when I got into that conversation about, oh, I don't want to make any more artwork because the art that I have is getting ruined because it's bumping into each other. Well, instead of continually making excuses why you're not doing it, come up with solutions for the problem. And then honestly, you're going to feel better because you took away that excuse. It's really kind of, I find myself kind of smacking myself upside the head for allowing myself to do the things that I don't allow to have happen at work, but I do them with myself. Like, I will find excuses to not do things that make me happy because I will find reasons to make myself unhappy. So what this book does is it makes you get rid of those excuses. It makes you stop beating the crap out of yourself. So, like, one of the pages says, I have an organized workspace that helps me work smoothly. I have an ample amount of resources. Like, I have an ample supply closet. I can stop going to Hobby Lobby and Michael's every single time I feel like I need something. And in doing that, you write it down 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times before bed. And it changes the way you think about it. You stop making excuses for yourself to be unhappy. And so I started doing that. But then I found out there are not enough pages and not enough positive affirmation space in this book for me to get out of the toxic mindset that I have. So I got a blank notebook that does not have a spiral on it. And I started filling up the pages with, like, if I would find myself doing something like doing art shows and having it be such a high gamble. And then I came up with all these reasons why I wanted to stop doing art shows and stop vending at shows. And a lot of it was there's a lot of money invested and not necessarily a lot of kickback. It's a huge gamble when you're doing shows. And so I would say, well, I'm not doing any more shows because in the past, this has happened. And in the past, I spent a lot of time and energy on it, and I didn't want to do it. And in the past, I didn't want to take commissions, and I stopped taking commissions because my last 3 or 4 clients were a huge nightmare. Like, getting artwork to get done for these people was just a nightmare. I don't like working for clients that like to talk badly about their pets, that they either don't like them or they don't appreciate them or they like legitimately hate their pets. So why are you paying for me to have this artwork done? I mean, it's a huge taxation on me, and I want to do it because you appreciate and you love your animal. And I stopped doing commissions for that. I do have a commission that has been sitting in the works for 2 years. And because my last 4 or 5 clients have been so toxic, I stopped taking commissions. Because it was so bad, I didn't want to do the artwork. And I was doing it for the money, and I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And so I slowly started coming up with reasons to not want to do my art. And that's how this starts. It starts with like just a little grain of salt of a reason. And so I started with reasons to undo all of that damage from the past. And one of the first page says, I am not defined by my past. I'm not that person anymore. I need to be able to get past some of these humps. So when you go through in my like some of these notebooks, like this one is my operating notebook. So there's a lot of these 10 and 15 lines where they're just the same thing over and over and over again. I don't have to have all the answers right now. Like, I would put off projects, video projects, or I would put off trips, or I would put off art projects because I don't have all the answers. I don't have it scripted out. And then that would be my reason to not to do anything at all with it. And I needed to be able to just stop doing that. I really do. And I need to be able to accept the fact that it's okay for me to not have all the answers. It's okay for you to not have all the answers. It's okay for you to start something and figure it out as you go. It really, really is. And it's okay if you don't get that far, or if you put it on hold because it's too overwhelming. And it's okay if when you're in the middle of it, you have to ask for help. That's got to be a thing that's going to be okay. So this is kind of becoming like a book of shadows for my workspace, rather than just a project notebook or a script notebook. There's one page where I had mentioned cinema therapy earlier and mended light. Excuse me. I had mentioned cinema therapy and mended light earlier, and Jono, who is the therapist for mended light, and he has a station on YouTube with his sister Alicia. His wife. I don't know why I called her a sister. And he is a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. He has done 3 or 4 episodes on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And so they were talking about an episode. It was the musical episode. And I watched every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer except for that one. And Jono is in his feels again. And he's talking about a quote that is a line that Spike sings. Excuse me, I need a drink. The episode I didn't watch. I didn't watch that. I still haven't watched it because I don't feel like digging up. It's no longer on Roku or anything. So maybe one time in the future I'll get the patience to watch it, but I didn't. But the quote is, "Life is not a song. Life isn't bliss. Life is just this. It's living. You'll get along. The pain that you feel can only be healed by living. You have to go on living. The hardest thing in this world is to live in it." And I think that's really poignant for me to put in one of my workbooks, because sometimes doing projects can be overwhelming. Sometimes doing videos can be overwhelming. Like doing a weekly vlog feels hugely overwhelming. So one of the things that I changed as part of my hobbies or habits to have in my notebooks is some motivational quotes, like, "I can be enough," and I need to start writing that down. Like, I can be enough. I have important things to say. You have important things to say. You do. You have important things to say. You have important contributions to the world. People love you. People care about you. You're not alone. And sometimes when we're out working on our art, because it's so isolating, because we need so much of our energy to focus on that one thing, we have a tendency of feeling like it's us against the world. And so when I decided to get rid of my spiral notebooks and do these kind of notebooks, I decided to have them multitask as both motivational notebooks as well as scripted reasons that I want to do my artwork. Like if I want to do Big Dog Brutus, or if I want to do another painting. Like, what are my script notebooks, and then motivational things to help me kind of get through those projects. So when you take a look at this over here, that's what that is. Those are just my little thoughts as I'm going through my day that aren't necessarily public. Sometimes they're just meant for me. And maybe spend the $8 instead of $1.25. And get a good notebook and get in the habit of writing some positive affirmations for yourself. Because those negative repeated thoughts, they hold you down. And that's my tip for the week. Those are my thoughts for the week, and I'll catch you next week. I forgot there was something else that I wanted to put in this video. So this is kind of an ending note. So when I was in Arizona, I had gotten the prickly pear candy because one of my viewers had said, "Ooh, you got to try this." And I bought some, but I did not actually try it. It's been sealed up. So it's came in a pack of 4. Looks like gummies. I've never tried prickly pear candy. It smells like paint. Maybe it's because it was sitting on the table. Yes, I've got to smell the food before I freaking eat it. Okay. First, there's the texture thing. So, it's kind of like a, how do I describe this? A jelly bean, where it's got this sugary kind of thing on the outside, and then it's very jelly on the inside. So there was a texture thing I wasn't expecting. Ooh, she's moving. She's moving. And of course, because I'm working with animals, she stopped moving. Is there a moment here where you're just gonna like move? I'm gonna flip this camera around and she's gonna move again. Anyway, see, that's why I wanted to put her over here so that when I'm working I can actually keep an eye on her. So, had a bite of it. It's kind of got a like a lemony taste, kind of a citrusy taste. I can't really put my finger on it. I feel like I've tasted this before. She keeps moving. I'm gonna go over here. She's like moving. Sorry for the up the nose shot. Trying to figure this out. Oh, you're just gonna have to deal with the up the nose shot. Because the other shot is this one. Oh, and she doing the walking thing. You want to try it? Brooklyn wants to try it. You want to try it? Put your muggy paws on that. All right. You try it? She don't like it. Are you done moving? Done moving? Like 3 exciting things that happened. Spooter moved. I tried something new. The cat tried something new. And this is why she changed locations. Because she would do that. Like, she must have just woke up. She was like, I'm in a new location. I have to move. Prickly pear candy. It reminds me, this is going to sound really dumb. It reminds me of that initial taste when you're eating like deep fried fish and you put lemon on deep fried fish. This is how I eat my fish, or even baked fish. Just lemon on fish. That's what it makes me think of. It's lemon on fish. But very sweet. It's different. It's different. It's interesting. Don't know if I would buy it again. Maybe just like a thing every once in a while, but The closest thing I can equate to this is it tastes like pink jelly beans. Maybe that's how they flavor pink jelly beans. I don't know. Let me know. Maybe if this is the flavor of pink jelly beans.